You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. So, let's talk about all the societal issues affecting the youth, issues such as relationships, money, and many more. Lucky thing is that you can listen to Go Youth Podcast in the comfort of your own home. Go Youth Podcast, by the youth, for the youth, about the youth. Go Youth Podcast invites you to watch the best speakers from South Africa and Kenya on the 17th of July 2022 at exactly 6 p.m. And please join us on our social media platforms. We are Go Youth FM on Facebook, and on YouTube and Twitter, we are Go Youth Podcast. Go Youth Podcast, by the youth, for the youth, and about the youth. Go Youth.
Good evening. My name is Ali. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good evening, Africa. My name is Ali. I hope you can see the people that are going to participate tonight. You know, load shedding is a problem. Most of our colleagues don't be able to join us because of load shedding. I'm sorry about that. For tonight, we'll be having myself, Mr. Toby Maloba, Magdalene Mapanga, Mwaki Maina, and also Wachiri Mutati, and also Mr. Hole. All right. Now, very quickly, before we start the show, I will ask each and every guest to introduce themselves in less than 30 seconds so that we can save time. Very quickly, we're going to start with the only lady in the house. Magdalene, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, Ali, and all the listeners. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm Magdalene Mapanga. I'm a model, a student, and also an explorer. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We're moving to Dobby.
Good evening to the host, Ali, to the fellow guests, and to the viewers. I am Dobby Maloba. I am staying at Ramasha, which is at Limpopo, and I am a law student at Northwest University.
All right, thank you so much. We are moving to Kenya now. Mwangi, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mwangi Maina, a student at Kenyatta University, pursuing a bachelor degree in arts, majoring in psychology. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now we are moving to Wachiri Mutati.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Wachira Mutati from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm an author, writer, a public speaker, and also did political science and philosophy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I believe that Mr. Hole, who is having some technical issues in terms of the background, we're going to give him a chance so that he can turn on his camera. Mr. Hole, please introduce yourself to the house.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. The hoster. Also the members of the debate and the listeners. My name is Hole MS from Ramasha, from the youth place. We're staying at the same place here. I'm a pedagogical practitioner and also an engineering student. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Maloba. All right. We're going to start with the first motion. This debate is how it's going to go. Just that other colleagues, especially the guests, I don't know about Sadiba Chabanga, but the ladies don't want to come on board. We only have one lady in the house by Magdalene, waiting for the other three ladies to come in the house. Now, look, this is how the debate is going to go. We're going to start with the first motion. which is going to be presented, or the proposition team or the green team is going to be the girls. Currently, we only have one lady in the house. The other ladies that will join. The opposition team, which is the disagreeing team, is going to be the guys in the house. Now, this is the first motion that we have in the house. Marriages often fail because men seek more power in a relationship. Magdalene is going to agree with the motion. She's going to make a presentation now. If you're on the opposing team and you are objecting something, you are allowed to go on the private chat and write POI. Then we are going to call you to come so that you can tell us why are you actually raising a POI. Now we are going to allow Magdalene to start with the first motion, as she's going to agree with the motion. Give us the reasons why she agreed with the motion. Marriages often fail because men seek more power in a relationship. I don't know, but you guys can hear. Ladies are saying that we seek more power in a marriage. All right, Magdalene, give us your reasons why you agree with the motion. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ali. I believe that marriages often fail because men seek more power in a relationship. The statement is true because in most relationships, because um, more men in a relationship, they tend to have controlling issues and abuse the women, and including children in the marriage because they believe that by showing they have more muscles and more power than the women, and they can actually be more dominant than them. They think that that is their way of showing power, which end up in most marriages and ending with ending because of physical abuses, with which end up with emotional abuse on the other people.
All right.
And
All right. Okay. Yeah. Please go through, Magdalene. Relax. The floor is yours. Go through. Go through, Magdalene. Go through. Relax. The floor is all yours.
and as they get emotionally damaged, they end up being scared of this man and of leaving the marriage or the relationship on its own because they're scared of the other partner. And then
Yeah, I don't know if Magdalene, you are having some technical issues or what.
Can you hear me, Ali?
Yes, please go through.
Hello. And also, some marriages fail because there is financial incompetence in most marriages. And let's say in a relationship or a marriage, the man is not working and the woman is working, and then the man feels like they financially incompetent of taking care of the women because they have this mentality of them taking care of their women or their family as a whole. And if the woman takes care of the family, they feel like they do not have enough hours, they seem weak and all that.
All right. You are done with your submission. I don't know if you're done because your sound was a little bit breaking. I don't know if you are done.
I am done, Ali.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go to the opposing team so that we can hear their reasons why they are actually disagreeing with you and also disagreeing with the motion. Very quickly, I'm going to go to Mr. Maloba.
Okay, my view on this topic in question is divided into two segments. On the first part, I will deliberate on my view about the topic. Then on the second part, I will mainly focus on the rebuttals against the views stated by the opposing team. My main view on this topic in question is that marriages don't fail necessarily because men seek more power. Mostly it is because women are importing exotic social ideologies such as feminism and seeking equality in marriages unreasonably. Again, it is very clear that these exotic social ideologies are not relevant in African context, because us as men, mostly we are used to the African indigenous way of living as compared to the exotic way of living, such as applying the feminism ideologies and many other European social living system. If you may just try to analyze the situation, even in the past, marriages used to be very successful as compared to today. The rate of divorce was very low as compared to today, because they were not applying those exotic ideologies such as feminism, unlike today. So I can say from the main reason marriages fail today is because women are are in the process of applying the European social ideologies in marriages. From how I view things, those ideologies should only remain in Europe and in the books for the purpose of studies and so on, unlike to apply them in marriages, particularly in Africa. So I would like to also deliberate on the second part of my view, which is the counter argument on the views stated by the other team. Firstly, I would like to touch on the dominance part. On the dominance, I don't necessarily see a problem with men being dominant in a relationship, because it is in line with the African indigenous social system. If you may look in the past, men used to be dominant in a way that they used to be the leaders of a relationship or marriage, to be specific, not necessarily men being dictators, whereby we can say the final word is stated by men and there is no any opposing view from the woman. All right, thank you. Let me have some 5 minutes to just wrap up on my view on the counter argument. Again, I would like to also touch on.
There's a POI, Mr. Maloba. There's a POI. There's a POI coming from Magdalene. Magdalene, what are you rising on? Oh, please unmute. Please unmute, Magdalene. Please unmute, Magdalene. Okay, good.
Point of opposing with the statement. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you properly.
Okay, on your point of opposing with the statement, why should it be, and why should gender inequality be an exotic ideologist? Because in the first place, we're seeking gender equality in South Africa as a whole. So why should we make it an issue when we are seeking gender equality, which is something we've been lacking for quite a while? And now that we finally have it, you saying it's a problem. It's not becoming a problem. The rate of divorces are increasing now, because back then our mothers and our grandmothers and great grandmothers, they were forced to stay in marriages where they're not happy. They were forced to keep the relationships problems intimate in the family, and not raise their points of not being happy, the abuses that are happening and all those issues. They were forced to keep them in, because that's how marriages were back then. Now we finally have the freedom to talk about the problems we have in our marriages, and to have the freedom to leave the marriages because we're not happy. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Maloba. Very quickly, what's your reaction on that and your response?
Okay, my response is we don't necessarily seek some kind of oppression in marriages, although we are talking about inequality. In the context of marriage, inequality, basically, to be specific, it is justifiable in a sense that even based on the African indigenous social, we are used to the fact that men are the leaders of the family or the household, and not necessarily the dictators. Women are allowed to put their views into place on the matters which are affecting the household in general, but the final word is of a man at the end of the day. However, today we are applying a system whereby we are on the 50-50 basis, and as a result, marriages are failing. while in the past marriages used to succeed because the social system was very applicable to this
Please wrap up your point, Mr. Maloba, very quickly. We're going to come back to second round very quickly. Please wrap up your point.
Okay, my point is, if we may just be practical about the situation, in the past whereby we used to apply inequality, marriages used to be successful. Today we are not applying it, marriages are failing. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Very quickly, we're moving to Kenya now. Mungwai, what's your reaction based on the presentation that was made by the proposition team by Magdalene? What is your reaction on the motion saying that marriage often fails because men seek more power in a relationship?
Okay, thank you. I think I'll start with a question. Would you blame a student for wanting to only pass the exam, even without understanding the concept? I think my answer would be no, because that is what they have been taught. So as men, from birth, we have been taught that we are the powerful people. In a marriage, you are the sayer, you give the say and it is followed. So I think men seeking power does not cause the marriage to fail. What makes the marriage fail is when the woman wants to be equal or higher than the man, to the extent that they don't give the man the power that he has been told, this is what you must possess. So for me, I think when the man feels that I'm not getting the power I should be getting, and I think he will fight for the power, and if he doesn't feel comfortable fighting for the power, what will he do? Walk away and leave the marriage. So the fight for power, the seeking for power is not the cause of failures in marriages. What is causing them to fail is the woman cannot give the man the power he deserves, or the power that he should be given in that marriage. I think I would also support my brother who talked before me, that if a man is dominant, that marriage will be successful. But I don't mean that you be a narcissistic dominant man. I mean you be dominant in a way that, yeah, you give the say and it should be heard. But when the woman has something to say, you should also listen, but not the woman coming up and wanting to be the power in the house. So
I see that there's a POI that was coming from Magdalene. Magdalene, what were you rising on? Magdalene, what are you rising on? I see that there was a POI here.
It was the previous point from the previous speaker. The last point that he made after my first POI.
Okay, all right, it's fine. We're going to come to that. Let me allow Mungwani to complete his point. Mungwani, please wrap up your point, my brother.
Okay, my point is power should be given to the man, or let's call it authority. Authority should be given to the man for a marriage to be successful. When women come to understand that in them being subordinate, that is where their power lies, I think that is when marriages will start to work. But before then, marriages are doomed to fail. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother. Very quickly now, we are moving back to Kenya. We're moving to Wachiri Mutati. Wachiri Mutati, what is your reaction, my brother? I know that you're on the proposition team. Magdalene have said it mouthfully. Same as our brother Dobi Maloba and also Muwai Maina. Now, very quickly, what's your reaction, my brother? They say that men is still power. All right, go.
Thank you, Ali. But permit me first, before I begin my statement, to render the apologies of Natasha. She has told me to render apologies. She'll not be able to join us due to connection issues. You have to remember this is Africa. However, coming back to matters that concern this motion, the first motion, the National Library.
There's an interjection. There's an interjection before you can start, Wachiwi. There's a POI that is coming from Magdalene. Magdalene, what are you rising on?
The point from Speaker 2 about that marriages work if in a marriage men are more dominant. I'd like to believe that marriages do not at all work because of the gender. who has more power in the relationship. Marriages work because of the effort that is being put in, the connection, the what's the word?
Yeah. Yeah. You're still here? No, we're still together. We're
they
still
like
together.
oh like my opinion is that marriages do not work, and they work because of the effort that's being put in marriage, the how you guys connect as a couple, and how you as a couple sit down and solve problems and stuff like that. And not because if you're a male and I'm a female, you're supposed to have more more power and be more dominant, and what you say has to be what goes in this relationship. I also must have my own opinions in the relationship, because we in this together. It's for both of us, it's not for you alone. It has to work in both ways, and I have to have my own input as a woman. And it's not only supposed to be in household things, even other things, other expenses and all that, because I can also contribute as a woman in expenses and other stuff. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. I think what she was just trying to say is that they need to work together in a relationship so that it can be successful. It's not about one having power or being feminist or how. All right, I'm going back to Kenya. Wachiwi?
Yeah, the National Library of Medicine, more specifically with the matters that people who talk about family psychology, they put it quite clearly that the main reason of marriages often failing is not because a man is seeking more power in a relationship, but there are other issues like, lack of commitment, infidelity, domestic violence, substance abuse, financial issues. Seeking more power is not the main reason, because the motion clearly reads that marriages often fail. That's why I want to be very clear on that. It is often fail, and it is not the main reason. Even you can look the people who have done scholarly research on it, and it clearly states it's not the reason. But moving forward on this motion, I'd like to pose a question to the proposing team, and let us have a deliberation of what do we specifically mean by power. What do we mean by power? Because when I check my dictionary meaning of the word power, it is the ability to capacity to do something and act in a particular way, or a capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior or the course of event. Last time I checked, we are still in Africa, and we are still Africans. And in Africa, since time immemorial, there have been ways we have been doing things, and some of them might be called backward, but some of those backward things are still working for us today. And one of those things is marriages, more often than not, which have been able to survive up to this date, even from the times of our forefathers or the people who came before us, is because the man was in charge. I do understand by virtue of being a man in a marriage setup, you are the person in charge. Otherwise, we can call you the overall person in charge of the marriage, and also in case of the family setup. This issue where we have gotten so Eurocentric and westernized that we have started becoming, especially our women are now bringing this issue that we're supposed to be equal. We also have to discuss what is the difference between equality or equity and equality. Because how do we know? Because in every human setup, there has to be somebody who's overall in charge. There has to be a setup of hierarchy. I know feminists are going to bash me for this so much, because they say that men are not supposed to seek power and women should be equal. But in most cases where women and men are equal in a marriage setup, most probably the marriage will fail, because there has to be a sort of hierarchy. Even in the animal kingdom, there has to be a sort of hierarchy for people to survive. And it is the same case. Look at the many marriages that have been able to survive for quite many years. Look at the people who are celebrating 30 or 40 years anniversary. Most probably, many chances are, is that the man was the one who was in power, and the woman was able enough to submit to the man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, my brother, for that. Very quickly, I see that there's a POI, which I believe that the POI is coming from Magdalene. Magdalene, what are you raising a POI on? Magdalene, what are you raising a POI on? Before we take Mr. Hole and Advocate Abram, what are you raising a POI on, Magdalene?
So I believe that seeking equality has nothing to do with fighting for power, and it is not even feminist. It's just being human. And also, he also spoke about hierarchy. Marriages marriages should not at all be treated like that, because they should not be treated like business where they oppose only. Thank you.
All right. All right. You are breaking a little bit. Very quickly, be aware that while you're on the show, your camera needs to be on when your time when it's your time for you to participate. You need to make sure that your camera is on. All right, Mr. Holler, it's your turn, my brother.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ali. And other speakers who already spoken. The first speaker on the opposition part, which was Toby Maloba, he mentioned a point about. Okay, before that, let's go to the second speaker's point. Who said we are in Africa and we will forever be Africans. That we are taught that we already have power in a merit as a man. That one, it's undisputed, because to start with, we pay lobola. That's the first part. The second part is that we take charge. We are the ones who decide when to marry. I know that at some point, yes, ladies do have also have their views on it. They have their say whether to say no to marriages or not. But then more often than not, it's our decision to marry, and then ladies are submitting to that, not because we are seeking more power. It's there already. We are in Africa. We can't dispute it. And then if we check back then, marriages used to survive. Yes, I would like to agree with the lady that they were unable to raise some of the incidences where they were abused. But then let's go back. Marriages were respected back then because there was no this 50-50 thing, wherein a man was known to be a leader. But then now ladies come in and tend to seek for 50-50, which is subjective anyway. They want a 50-50 part, but then I'm the one who's paying lobola. I'm the one who must go and buy a stand. Theirs is to say, yes, it's fine, that place. But then who pays for that? It's me. Who pays for everything during the marriage? It's me. When marriages fail, who's the first person to be blamed? It's me as a man. So where is the 50-50 part? We need to observe it very carefully. If we are to seek for 50-50, it should be on overall base, because now, how often do you usually find families where it's a lady who's working and then a man is not working, but then yet is respected? We don't find such incidences. Men are not respected when they are not working. It means the 50-50 part, it's only when it suits them. Like on the matters of them complaining and other stuff. But when it comes to major decisions in terms of money and other stuff, they don't bring on the 50-50 part. They bring it when it suits them. So as a result, we can say, remember back then our marriages used to survive.
Please wrap up your point, Mr. Hole. You are running out of time. Please wrap up your point.
Okay, thank you. Back then, men were considered leaders. That's why marriages used to survive because in most cases, when ladies had problems, they would go to the man's family. We would build our marriage within the two families such that when we have problems, we would engage the two families. But then now, who are engaged? We engage friends now. We engage social media. That's the reason marriages fail. Not because we seek more power. We don't seek it. It's already there. We must have it. We own it. We don't have a choice. We are Africans in Africa, after all.
All right. Thank you so much. I see that there's a POI that is coming from Magdalene. And before I take the POI from Magdalene, I'll also like to acknowledge the presence of Advocate Abraham Mahale and also the presence of Blossom Ingele. Very quickly, let's take the POI that is coming from Magdalene. Magdalene, in a minute, what are you rising on? Please unmute Magdalene.
I'd like to oppose a point of the Lobola because we're talking about power here. Lobola does not get involved anyway. And also, with white, since we're talking about Africa as a whole, in Africa we have white people, so we cannot exclude them from the debate or the proposition as a whole. So white people marriages do not require lobola. So I feel like lobola it should not even be included at all in this motion. And also, he also stated, and also lobola is the beginning of physical abuse and emotional abuse in most marriages because these men believe that they're buying the women from their family and paying like they become their own property and they can do anything and everything they want with them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Very quickly, I know that you have Blossom Ngele and also Advocate Abram. Very quickly, Blossom, please introduce yourself to the house and also turn on your camera. And same applies to Advocate Abram. Advocate, please introduce yourself to the house. Advocate, are you still there?
Good evening, Ali. Good evening, the members of the panel. My name is Abraham Mokhale. By profession, I'm an advocate that specializes on human rights and constitutional law and broadly. So, Ali, I'll stand with the proposition. I'll agree with Magdalene. I'm agreeing with the motion today of men. They seek marriages often fail because men seek more power in marriages. It becomes clear now because times are changing. When times are changing and men do not want to adapt to the times that are changing, the opposition team that referring to the old marriages, the old customary laws where women were oppressed in marriages. They were not allowed to have a say, and then particularly when it comes to divorces, they're saying that divorces were not that main because men were in charge in marriages. I'll have to disagree. It's because that we didn't have divorces by that time, because now when a woman wanted to go back home because of the abuse and the emotional distress that they're having on their marriages, the families will not agree to them to come home, because once you get married, you're not allowed to go back home.
Advocate, there's a POI that is coming from the floor. There are two POIs. I'm going to start with the first POI that is coming from, I don't know to say Advocate Maloba or Toby Maloba. Toby Maloba, there's a POI that's come from yourself. What are you rising on?
I would like to the point raised by the opponent on the fact that marriages don't fail necessarily because men seek more power in the marriage. He mentioned something like Men want to be more dominant, more like dictators in a marriage whereby women do not have any say on the decision making. Men are the only ones who are taking all the decisions. I think he missed part of our argument to his side, because what we seek as men on the other team is that although we would like to be the leaders of the relationship, we don't prefer to be dictators. Although we lead, there should be other ideas into the decisions we are making, and those ideas are being taken into consideration. We don't just take decisions without hearing the ideas of other party in the marriage. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Maloba. Very quickly, we're going to take the POI that is coming from Mr. Silakole. Mr. Hole, what are you rising on? Please turn on your camera and submit your POI, my brother.
Yeah, the speaker mentioned something that we are referring to the old marriages where lobola was being paid, but then now we're still paying lobola, and now the amount is even higher, more than before. So it means we are still at that time. So we can't refer to it as if it's a history. We're still paying lobola. So it means we're still on the matter of lobola. It mustn't be disputed that those were the old times. We're still in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining. You are listening to Go Youth Podcast, one of the best. All right, very quickly, we're going to move to, I see that there's also another POI. It's rising. There's a POI that's come from Magdalene. Magdalene, what are you rising on before we allow Advocate Abram to go through? Very quickly, Magdalene, in less than a minute, what are you rising on?
I'd like to oppose with the statement that was made by Khole MS. He spoke about we still in the old times, paying lobola and the lobola being too high and stuff. So my point is that we're not in, we slowly but moving on from those old times. Lobola is just tradition that that is being kept because we're Africans, so they believe that they can't be enriched without lobola. Hence, it's still, and the rate of divorces, they're increasing as we go, because women have the freedom to speak and to move, or to get out of marriages that are not working for them. Hence, not in the old of marriages where a woman would just stay in the family because she's staying there for the children, or staying there for just because she's scared partner or what the family is going to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I see that there's an interjection again from Khole. Khole, very quickly, in less than a minute, what are you rising on?
I raised the point that ladies want to use this 50-50 thing when it benefits them. I'm still on it now. That Magdalene said we moved from those old times, but then lobola is just a tradition. Yes, it's just a tradition, but then who's paying it? It still gives us power as men, we liking it or not. Thank you very much.
All right, I see that Advocate Abram is raising a POI. Advocate, what are you rising on?
Okay, thank you very much, Ali. Number one, let's deal with the issue of lobola. You see now the problem comes when men feel entitled to power, no, to women because of their paying lobola. No, when we check to the customary law, when he's speaking about lobola, you're not paying lobola to a woman. You are paying a lobola to her parents, merely by thanking the parents that they raised a child, the child that you're gonna be with. You understand? So now, paying lobola doesn't mean necessarily that you are entitled to that woman. Paying lobola doesn't mean necessarily that you own the woman. No, it doesn't mean like that. Now, a marriage is a partnership of two people.
So this guy,
marriage consists two people. It doesn't mean now man because has paid lobola now it means now no he's a leader. It means now he's in charge. It means now he owns the woman. No, it doesn't work like that. Lobola is a means of appreciating the parent of a woman that they've raised the child. That's it. Now, the problem of men is that now men are scared now. Men are afraid because now women are growing mentally. we have intellectual women now, because now men, people who grow up knowing that they're in charge of some things, now when there comes a challenge, because now they're failing to adapt, they're becoming scared, they're becoming afraid to adapt. Why? Because now they think now women will overpower them, and it's not like that. You understand, Ali? The main means of men seeking more power in marriages is because now they feel entitled to power, and which is one reason that is bad. It's never like that. It shouldn't be like that. Women are also human beings that are equal to men. There is no way that a man is above women, and there is no necessity that a man must have an authority or power in the marriage. No. We make decisions together, we take decisions together. There is no such thing as a man is a leader. We are all equal as human beings. Now, African costumes have ruined the mentality of men, because now African men, particularly South Africans, they're stereotypic people. Now they think that
we're out of time, advocate. Please wrap up your point in less than 30 seconds. We're running out of time.
Okay, they're still having that mentality of the previous customs that, you know, a woman will obey everything that the man says, and of which is wrong. Women now, they are capable. They have shown that they are capable. We have intellectual women that can lead in a relationship without even having a man to lead. They can take serious decisions of their marriages and become success. We don't need the supreme authority of men for marriage to be successful.
All right. Thank you so much, Advocate Abram. We took a lot of time addressing the POIs. All right. Allow me so that we can move to the next motion, unless if there's anyone who want to interject with anything. Very quickly, I'll go back to last round in less than 30 seconds. Wachiri Mutati, in less than 30 seconds, do you have anything to say on this motion that we're closing?
Not much really, because you know, at this point in time in the 21st century, feminists will always turn anything around. And also because of the interest of time, I'm not going to say much of this topic, because I think the second motion is more beneficial to the society than us sitting here as as African youth and talking about this issue, which at the end of the day is going to be turned around by feminists, and they're going to make it as if we, you know, I think I rest my case at that particular point.
All right, very quickly, in less than 30 seconds, I'm going to go back to Mwai Maima. Do you have anything to say before we start with the second motion?
Yeah, I think I'll just say that for me,
in less than 30 seconds.
Okay. There's power, and then there's the negative or narcissistic power. What women are just talking about is that power that, okay, I won't disagree that there are those narcissistic men who want all the power in the relationship. That is what women are just there, and they'll stick on that one point that men want to take this, but they won't look at what I call power, the definition of power. For me, power is taking charge, fixing issues, and getting things done. That is the power that a man should be given, and that is the power that a man seeks. So if not given that power, the marriage will fail. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. We're able to touch the first motion, the reactions that were coming from different sides, coming from our brothers joining us live from Kenya, and also our brothers and sisters joining us live from South Africa. I'm aware that some are busy trying to connect, the load shedding, the network is not going through. Please, let's not take much of time on the PORs because of the second motion that we need to take. Now, on the second motion, others, they understand the motion in different way. The second motion is that, is it necessary to take, children to private schools in Africa? Because a lot of people have been saying that private schools are not actually working. And most of those who are coming from public schools are not actually working. And some are saying that if you take your children to a public school, is just a waste of time, because most of those teachers, they are not actually doing their work. They spend a lot of time just doing other things, and they're not investing their energy and time making research to make sure that the children that are going to school, I mean the students, they get better information. But some are saying that private schools, those people, they know what they're doing there, and they do their work and they do research. And we see even the pass rate, it shows that most of students who are actually getting there are those who are getting a reasonable pass rate are coming from the private school. And on this side, the ladies, they will be on the opposition side, the guys, they'll be on the proposition side. This one, very quickly, I'm going to start with Wachiri Mutati. I also like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Adolf Babela. Professor, thank you so much for joining. Very quickly, Professor, can you please introduce yourself very quickly before we go? Professor Adolf, please turn on your camera. Professor?
Ali, what's happening here? This thing is stuck. I can't access my mic here.
All right, not a problem, Professor. Let's pause a little bit, then we're going to come back to you. Very quickly, Wachiri Mutati, as you're on the proposition team, is it necessary that we should take our children to private schools?
Thank you, Ali. It is not only necessary to take our children to private schools in Africa, but it is important. Last time I checked, many countries in Africa are sovereign and they are democratic. And I believe and I know that one of the principles of being a democratic country is to be allowed to do certain things that you freely want to do in your own manner and in your own way. And I know among Kenyans, they prefer taking their, and I believe this is a mirror of the entire Africa. We prefer taking our children to private schools because our public schools, especially the public primary schools, are not well managed, they are not well funded, they lack many resources. Therefore, if you compare our primary schools in terms of public and private, you will see that the student or the pupil who is coming from a private school is a bit different. Not only different, has a whole difference. There's a huge margin between the two children here. Why am I saying this? Even when you look in terms of discipline, when you look at the wholesome achievement and the learning of a child is a bit different when you compare to a person who has gone to a public primary school. I know many people will say that the difference is coming up because of, in terms of motivation, this other private people are doing it as a business. But you see, if we do not care at this particular point, the end justifies the means. And if they are going to do it in a business manner and our children emerge at the end as better than the ones who went to public primary schools, then so be it. And I do understand many people who go to private school having their resources allowing them to do that. It is in the situation that is not necessarily many people who even take their children to public primary schools will desire. Most of them are taking them to those public primary schools just because they cannot be able to afford the private public school, the private primary school. Therefore, I think it is not only necessary to take children to private schools in Africa. If you can be able to afford it, it is important.
All right. Thank you so much. Wachiri Mutati. Thank you so much, my brother. Very quickly, I'm gonna move to Mr. Hole. Mr. Hole, I'm aware that you have much to say in relation to this topic, and I just want to check with you, Wachiri Mutati, if you are done submitting your point before I move to Hole. Wachiri, are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
All right. Thank you so much. Very quickly, we're moving to Hole. Hole, what's your reaction on this one? As you are proposing the motion, is it necessary that we need to take our children to private schools? Please unmute Hole and turn on your camera. All right, we're gonna move from Hole and go back to Kenya again to Mwai Maina. Mwai.
Thank you, Ali. For me, having
Ali,
gone through both.
Okay, very quickly, let's address something. Professor, what's happening, Professor?
I'm saying there's something wrong with this thing of muting and unmuting mics. You see, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, not a problem, Professor. If you're experiencing any issue, please you just disconnect and connect again. It should be working.
All right, thank you. I'm fine now. It's working now.
Not a problem. All right. Why? Sorry about that. Please go through.
No problem. I was saying, having gone through both public and private, I think I can say it's necessary for we Africans to take our kids to private schools. One, look at the exposure someone in a private school gets. Let's say we are talking about geothermal and stuff. I, from a private school, I will go for a trip. Yes, we'll pay, but there will be a trip and you'll be there to see this, how a geothermal works. But from a public, you're just given the theory and you're told, yeah, go do this homework and
all right. Yeah, go through.
From a private school, you are not only from the same community, I'm from the same location. If understanding of things, so having exposure to both other people and whatever you are learning in class, you have the exposure to go and sit in the field. That is one very important thing, especially when a person is growing up. It's from a public school, you go home, everything is done for you. But from a private school, you are your own person. Okay, I'll wrap up by saying this personal responsibility is often is important. I'm finishing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. You are breaking a little bit, but we're able to hear you. All right. To those who just joined, when you hear this sound, know that your time is up. You know that your time is up. There's no need for us to say time is up. Time is up. All right. Very quickly, we're gonna go back to Advocate Abram. I'm aware that Advocate Abram is neutral. Advocate, what's your reaction on this one? Saying that private school is very much important and we should take our children to private school because they have resources and they're doing their job well. And looking at the states, it's saying much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, I agree with the motion that it's very necessary to take our children to private school in Africa, particularly in South Africa. Because have you seen the state of the public institutions in South Africa? You know, number one, there is a delay of the budgets to the schools. From the Department of Basic Education, there is a delay of the budget. Number two, when it comes to resources, it's worse. Learners do not have enough textbooks. Teachers, they don't have enough resources for them to go extra mile in teaching our children. You know, so I'll agree with the motion. It's very necessary to take our children to private schools. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Very quickly, we're gonna go to Mr. Hole. Mr. Hole, please turn on your camera.
Thank you very much. I would like to, because as much as I would like to be on the right side, I should take note because it feels like an abuse. The lady there is alone, so I'll be on the other side. I'm opposing the motion. It is not necessary to take our children to private school in South Africa or Africa as a whole. One, what happens to parents who are taking their children to private school? They become supportive to their children. They buy them everything. They buy them everything that is needed for the learners. They buy them support material for the learners to study. They give them that support. They hire tutors for those learners. Those are the parents who take learners their children to private school. The point is not centered at private school or public school. It is centered at the support they give. It means if you are to do the same thing, you take your children to public school. Uh, and then you give them that support. Your children would still perform not only at the level of a private school learner, but then higher than that, because we need to take note of the fact that private school, as compared to a public school, doesn't teach learners independence. Hence, when we get to universities, more learners who are more students who are surviving and are able to be more productive are the ones from public schools, because we know if you can survive public school, you are stronger. At private school, they are being spoon fed. So it means the point here is not taking your children to private school. It's supporting your children when you take them to school, not private school, but to school. So the point is money. We need money to take children to private school, but then we don't look at okay, thank you, I'm wrapping up. We don't we don't look at the point, because we take our children to private school because we feel like we have money, and then we feel like they're going to get more education, whilst we can choose to be supportive, support our children fully so when they are at public school, so that they will get both proper education and proper independence. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Silva, for that. Very quickly, I also like to acknowledge the presence of Motuhwane. Thank you so much, Motuhwane, for joining in. I hope I'm pronouncing your surname very well. All right, very quickly, I'm gonna move to Mr. Maloba.
Thank you for this opportunity. Even from the initial of this second topic, I planned to be on the opposition side. So even Mr. Hole joined me on the side. I would like to submit that it is very unnecessary to take children to private schools. Instead, it is the matter of luxury, not the importance to take them to the private school. Before I can carry on with my submission, I would like to ask everyone on the panel if they can spot the difference between those who went to private school and those who went to public school. Even amongst us here, no one can tell if I went to private school or if I went to the public school. The main point is, what is the most important thing about the private school? Why should we be taken to the private school? What is the main reason behind it? I just want to pause on this stage to ask them if they can spot that difference before I can carry on.
The question is over. The question is overridden. Anyone who wants to answer it, you're welcome to answer the question. It's open.
May I please say it? May I please answer it?
Hole, after then it's going to be Motuhwane.
Yeah, I can spot a difference between someone who went to private and someone who went to public, because when I was at university, I would see majority of us who went to we were more productive than those who went to public school, to private schools, because those ones were dependent on us, because at university level we are not being spoon fed. We had to, because we would judge them based on the marks they get. Then that's when we understood that they knew how to answer questions, but then they were never independent.
All right, your time is up. Very quickly, Motuhwane. And please introduce yourself, my brother, to the house. Please unmute, my brother. Unmute. Please unmute. All right, not a problem. Let me unmute you. Okay, good.
Hello, guys. How's it?
Good in you, my brother.
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. My name is Karabo Motowane, man. All the way from Pumalang.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother. What's your reaction based on the question that Mr. Malo was posing?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Mr. Malo, very quickly.
Okay, the question is, since they say it is important to take children to private school, so I'm asking if there is a difference between someone who went to private school and someone who went to the public school. From my point of view, I can't see the difference between those who went to private school and those who went to the public school. Even amongst us here, out who went to private and who went to the public school. By the virtue of that, it is very clear that it is not really important to take children to private school, since we can spot the difference between someone who went to private school and someone who went to the public school.
All right, very quickly, Mutokwane.
Okay, you can spot the difference depending on the faculty. On the faculty where one is working or where one is studying, you know. But I can tell you now, I agree with Hole. Most of them, they are struggling. You know, the only thing that they are good at it's English. You know how to English literature and stuff. But when it comes to doing, it's something else. You know, so
yeah.
To me, taking a child to a private school, it's very wrong. It's just a waste of money. You are wasting money. Take that money and invest in your kids' future. Maybe save that money until they are old enough. Then invest on them, because we can't all go to school, and you know. So as much as we try to say, well, we want to fit into the system, taking kids to private school, it's like we want to make sure that the kid, the child fits in well in the system. I don't know if you
all right. My point. Okay, we're running out of time. Thank you so much, Mutwana, for your submission. Very quickly, there's a POI that is coming from Wachiri Mutati. Wachiri Mutati, what are you rising on? Very quickly, what are you rising on? Then after that, I'm going to take Professor after that. Then I'm going to also take Mungwai. And then I'm going to also take Magdalene and Abram after that. Very quickly, you're rising a POI. What are you rising on? Wachiri? Please unmute Wachiri. Wachiri Mutati, please unmute, my brother. Okay, we're going to come back to Wachiri very quickly. Let's go to Advocate Abram.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Mutati, please go through. What are you rising on?
Sorry, I was experiencing some network issues. I would like to, differ with my opponent here. You know, Dobby has really jumped ship. I don't know why he did that, but I want to remain true to the task that has been given today and propose this motion without any fear of doubt or favor or any contradiction. He has said that we cannot spot any difference. And I like to think that we don't do things because of our aesthetics. Nobody cares whether you look as if you went to private school or public school. What we do care about is the competency of how a person can be able to articulate issues and even live the life in this on earth. And I'm sure when you look, I don't know much about South Africa, but depending on what I'm hearing from you people, here in Kenya, we can be able to spot the difference. You can see that a person who went to a private school, even the way they handle themselves, because it is not most necessarily about the academics. That's where you people are going wrong. We are also interested with the discipline of this student. We are also interested with how they carry themselves, the manner they conduct themselves in this world. That is also important. That is the issue of the competency and wholesome learning of a student. And I am sure without doubt that we do not care whether you appear to be so. You know, people have different personalities. I might be calm, but I'm not stupid. The fact that I'm silent, that don't mean I do not know anything. So I really want to differ with him on that point.
All right. Thank you so much. Very quickly, I'm going to take Professor Adolf.
Thank you, Ali, and good evening to everyone.
Are you able to turn on your Professor? Professor, are you able to turn on your camera, Prof?
No, I cannot be able to. I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem, Professor. Please go through.
Background.
Not a problem.
Yes. I'm saying good evening to everyone in here, and I don't know if I missed other motions. Ali must confess that he sent me the link very late. After
okay.
So it's fine.
Yeah, not a problem, Prof.
I would like to participate. I don't know, since the motion were divided through guys and ladies, but I can see that there are only few ladies here, so I can join her and participate with her on her side. as the
Not a
opposition
problem.
team. I don't know if it's
Not a
allowed.
problem. No, you're allowed, sir. You're allowed.
Go on.
Please go through. Professor?
What's going on? Okay, Ali,
We can hear
when
you.
we look at private school and state school, uh, yeah, when we look at the private school and the state school, especially here in South Africa, as I speak in terms of
Yeah, I don't know, Prof, what's happening at your side. Make sure that all your cables are connected because you keep on breaking, Professor. Professor? All right. We're gonna come back to you, Professor. Very quickly, I'm gonna go back to Kenya now. Mwai Maima, what's your reaction on this?
I would like to first defy one of the opponents. They said that taking a child to private school is just a wastage of money. I think, and they said take that money and I think, what was the word? Put it in.
Invest it elsewhere.
Yeah, invest it in the future of your child. I think if you have a child, that's your future. Your child is your future. So take that money, invest it in your child. By this, take them to a private school. Let them get the best shaping they can ever get as early as possible. So personally, I think when they go to a public school, the appearance is all that matters in a public school. But in a private school, everything matters. As my friend Rashida said, behavior, character, everything is shaped as early as possible. So if you want to take your money and invest it to a hopeless, okay, these are my words, a hopeless, well-studied person, that is up to you. But for me, I think I will take my child to a private school, let them get the best character, everything the way it is supposed to be. And for private person, they'll go and just appear in the class and yeah, you are present, go ahead. So if that is where you want to invest your money and they'll just come out here and invest it, that is up to you. Thank you.
All right, and thank you so much. Very quickly, I'm gonna take Motohwane, then after that I'll go back to Magdalene, and then I'll take also Prof after that. Motohwane, what's your reaction, and whether are you on the proposition or opposition team?
I'm on opposition. You know, when he says it's important to take your child to multiracial school, like, we have to understand that what is it that you want your kid to learn? Because of, believe me, you know, most of the kids who are from the private school, they have these tendencies. Like, you cannot survive. As much as they say you cannot survive. Like, when it's time to survive on your own, you cannot survive on your own. You will keep on going back for backup. You understand? So now, multiracial schools, yes, they will teach you certain things, but you will be spoon-feeded. You will be wasting a lot of money trying to align a child so that they can survive.
Very quickly, Motohwane, there's a POI that is coming from Mwai Maima from Kenya. My brother, what are you rising on? Please unmute.
Okay. I think he said that survival for a person from private school is hard. I think that maybe in South Africa, but in Kenya, I think that is where you're in private school. That place you have to survive on your own. You have to learn every instinct of survival. But public school, you go to school, come back home. Where is the survival in public school? Only walking, if you're walking to school, or I don't see why you say from a private school one cannot survive. I think that is where you learn everything about survival. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Motohwane, please wrap up your point, Motohwane, so that we can take Magdalene.
Okay. Maybe the problem is that this we are not from the same country. That's why.
Okay.
Because of as much as we look the youth now, like, it's very safe to take your child to a public school than to take your child to a private school.
Repeat
because
your
of it's
statement.
easy for
Repeat your statement.
It's easy. Come again.
You're saying it's very safe to do what?
to take your kid to public school than to take your kid to multiracial school.
Okay.
You get me?
Yes, we
You
get
can
you,
hear
sir.
me. Yes. So now, if you say maybe in Kenya, it's very safe for them to take a kid to private school because of it's where maybe they are safe. They learn respect, everything. But come I tell you, when it comes to morals and other stuff, like the multiracial kids, they are very rude. Like they don't have manners, most of them.
Right. Your time is up, Mutokane. Very quickly, before I take Professor Arof, I'll go back to Magdalena. Magdalena, I know that you're on the opposition team. What's your reaction to this? Please unmute, Magdalene.
My opposition is that the existence of private schools limits the chances of those who attend government schools and damage the wider society. The ratio of a student teacher it's greatly larger in private schools. Therefore, meaning more time is spent on students who are going to private schools than those who are going to government schools, and also and that is unfair. It results in an unfair advantage for those who are going to private schools than the ones who are going to public schools. And the only thing that private schools promote is inequality and unfairness, since it only favors the wealthy ones in the world or in Africa, yes. And also private schools they're not government regulated, therefore a teacher can teach or they can teach in a private schools without having the necessary qualifications. Thank you.
Ali, we cannot hear you. Your mic is muted.
Ali, your mic is muted, Chairperson.
That's what about that, Professor. Go through, Professor. Go through.
Okay, thank you for the platform. Ali, I don't know if my previous point went through because I was having some difficulties there.
Please wrap up, Professor. Wrap up your point. We're able to hear you from the first part.
Okay. As I was addressing it, I was saying that the only difference between private school and public school is that the private school questioning or assessment is made in such a way that is more challenging compared to the public school one, you see. So in that case, there's no much difference because at the end of the day, when the students graduate from matric in the private school, they are still being assessed by Umalusi. They still get the same NSC certificate. So the curriculum is the same. The only difference is the paper of exam that they write, speaking in terms of South African standard. So in that case, there's no need to take your children to private school because also as the speaker has said there, Magdalene, that it promotes inequality. We are promoting a sense that other children are doing better than others, of which it's something that we have to stop and build one type of education system which each and every children will belong to. Because most of private schools, it's only for those people who are rich, those people who can afford it. It's very expensive, and for it to fail, chances are very low because you are paying very huge amount of money. So you want to see the results of why you are paying the money. So it has to produce results. So in many ways, we don't know if there's a lot of cheating as well that is going on because just want the children to succeed. Otherwise, if you don't,
There's a POI, Professor. There's a POI that is coming from Dobi Maloba. Dobi Maloba, I see that you're rising a POI. What are you rising on, my friend?
The POI I am rising is in opposition of the previous speaker before the current one, which is Mr. Wachira. Sorry to go back to the other speaker instead of commenting on the current motion, on the current speaker. He mentioned something like nobody cares about whether someone went to private school or public school. In opposition to the question I rose about whether people are able to spot the difference. If nobody, whether people can tell the difference, it is about me trying to point out that the outcomes of both private schools and public schools are the same to the extent that even from merely analyzing the two people who went to the two group of people who went to private school and the other who went to the public school, you cannot tell the difference between those people, not necessarily because the other one is willing to look like someone who went to private school. No, like instead, I want to point out the fact that those both schools are producing almost the same outcomes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Toby Maloba. I don't know if Professor is still with us to wrap up his point. Now, very quickly, I want us to go back to the last round, whereby we're closing the show, because I can see that you almost have an hour being online here. Now, very quickly, before we wrap up, I'm gonna start with the only girl in the house. Professor, you keep on going out and in, not a problem. Very quickly, I'm gonna start with you, Hole. Hole, what is your submission? This is the last round where you have to comment about the last motion. In less than a minute, what is your reaction, Mr. Hole?
Speaker, Chair.
Professor?
I don't think it's fair because I didn't finish my point and the speaker there was raising a POI on the previous speaker's submissions.
Right.
And
not a problem, Professor. Please go through, Prof. Please go through.
Yeah, as I was saying that the difference is not much in terms of type of education system, because in South Africa they are all being assessed by Umalusi. The regulator of the curriculum is Umalusi. So in that sort of the division between public and private creates a sort of inequality amongst the community. Public schools are disadvantaged because of the socioeconomic factors such as poverty and all other factors. The space is limited, the stationaries are limited. That's because it's government regulated. That is the only reason why public schools are disadvantaged. But if the same schools were getting same budget, same treatment, I don't think there was going to be a different form of performance in that way. You see? So
all right.
in that that is my submissions, Ali.
All right. Okay. No, thank you so much, Prof. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Thank you so much to everyone who have participated from the first motion. Now we are actually at the end of the second motion. I'll start with my brother here from Kenya, Wasiri Mutati. Please, my brother, put your submission based on motion 1 and the second motion. What is your submission?
Thank you, Ali, but I can hear some background noise. I don't know if you are the one.
Not a problem, not a problem, brother. Please go through.
First of all, before permit me just to rebuttal on what Dobby had said. I don't know if that is the right pronunciation of his name, because I can see it as a D in front there. We have been having this back and forth on how it matters or who cares about a person who went to a public or a private school, and he's saying that there's because there's no appearance whatsoever, then it does not matter. I still think that it does matter, because I want to go back to the main point that I rose when we are beginning this motion, and I brought the issue of motivation forward. And it is proven even by the psychologists. We do know that human beings are drove and they act on what motivates them. And when you look at the motivation in private and public schools, they're a bit different. And that's why you can see that some of them might say there is no difference, but there is still a difference. Here in Kenya, when people are doing we call it the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, the KCPE, which is a national examination. Most of the time, you'll find that the most performing schools and the best students are from private schools. But the trend is changing from the previous years, that are about 2 years that are coming. So I want to make it very clear and categorical that whether you went to private or public school, somebody can note a difference. And he keeps on saying that it matters, and it matters because nobody can note the difference between us who are here or anybody in the general public, that you cannot note whether they went to public or private school. That one is not of importance, because we don't go to private school to be noted. I don't think you people go to public school so that you can be noted and say, no, we went through hard times in life. We are from public schools. We emerged and you are here. No, I don't think that is the main reason why we do that. And also going to the point where someone said that if you have money, you would rather spend it somewhere. I think that is a very simplistic point. Let me just put it like that, because your child is your future. And if you're not investing in your child, then what are you investing for? And people earn money to spend it. If you're not willing to spend your money on your child, I think there's something wrong with your head at that particular point. And just to finish this time that you have given me, I'd like to say that
wrap up, my brother, wrap up.
I'm wrapping up from the first motion. I remember the first motion we were talking about whether marriages often fail because men seek more power in a relationship. I don't want to talk much about that, because that is a point that where you agree to disagree, because at the end of the day, as I said, feminists will always turn things around however they want. And to my last point on this second motion, I'm sticking to my point. I'm still holding on the ball that it is not only necessary to take your children to private school if you can, because sometimes resources are different for different individuals. It is important. If you can be able to take your child to a private school, then so be it. The end justifies the means. And, it gets to a point in Africa where we say that everyone for themselves and God for us all. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, brother. Very quickly, we're moving back to Magdalene. Magdalene, what is your submission from motion 1 up to the second motion and your conclusion? Please unmute.
My submission on the motion that we're currently in, which is motion, still with my point which I made from my statement that private schools promote inequality and unfairness, since it only favors the wealthy. Also, most private schools, especially in South Africa, I don't know about the other countries, but then mostly in South Africa, they expose children to unwanted behaviors such as drinking, smoking, and exploring other. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word.
Yeah, try to mention the word. Make sure that you are not going to be racist or somehow. Just make sure that I hope you're reading the message that is coming on the screen. Okay, not a problem. As long as the polite language, you're welcome.
And which it exposes them to drinking, smoking, and sexual behaviors at young ages, and also it put more pressure on those the learners whose parents are just trying to like accommodate their children by taking them to private school, and then they get there, they find those learners who are from like wealthy families, and then they see them being all good all the time or having more money than them, and have this pressure of wanting to fit in with their trades. Thank you. And then on the first motion, my closing statement that I stick with my point of agreeing with the statement that most marriages often fail because men seek more power in the relationship, since a lot of divorces, and the divorce rate is only increasing now, because back then women were not allowed to speak out their problems that are happening in marriage, and they did not have the freedom to leave because of the abuse, the lack of freedom of speech in the marriage, and not being able to say what they want to say, or not being able of having opinion in a marriage as a whole. And since men believe that since I paid lobola for you, then you are mine and you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna hear what I say is what's gonna go, when you don't have any say in this marriage. Thank you.
All right, very quickly, we're moving back to Kenya. My brother from Kenya, Mwai Maina, very quickly, what's your submission based on motion 1 and the second motion?
Okay, I'll start with the first motion. Mine is just to say that let men be given the power they deserve. Yeah, that's all I can say. Let them be given the power they deserve. And on the second motion, I'll just put out a statement that stop blaming the failure of public schools on the success of private schools. If the public schools up their socks, I think there will be no such debate as private and public. All will be schools are performing, and that is that. So blaming the failures of public schools on the success of private schools, let that be just the end of that. Yeah, that will be my submission.
All right, thank you so much, my brother. Very quickly, we're moving back to Toby Maloba. Mr. Maloba, what's your submission based on motion 1 and second motion?
Mr. Ali, thank you so much for the platform given to us tonight. Thank you to the viewers and to the panel. It was an honor to take part in discussion with you all. On my closing on motion 1, I still persisted. Marriages don't fail mainly because men seek more power in marriage. Instead, I would like to say they fail because wives or women in general in relationships are importing exotic social ideologies instead of continuing with African indigenous system, which is on the motion 1. Then on the motion 2 part, I would like to also persist that it is not necessary to take children to private school. Instead, taking them to private school, it is the matter of luxury. From how I view both schools, they are the same. They can produce the same results, since we cannot spot the difference on the outcomes they have made. And also, I would like to point out that both private schools and public schools are the same, based on the fact that there are very successful people who are coming from both schools. That on its own reveals that people can make it from either ways. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Maloba. All right, we are moving back to Motokwane. Motokwane, what's your submission and your reaction from the motion that you started to join us from?
My motion is that taking a kid to multiracial school is just a waste of money. And again, they tend to lose their culture, their traditions, because of they don't tend to learn their home languages, So most of them, they learn like English as home language, then Afrikaans as what first additional language.
Yeah.
Of which you learn someone else's language while you have to. My phone is ringing. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, not a problem, Motokwane. Not a problem, Motokwane. Not a problem. All right, not a problem, Tokan. Thank you so much. We're moving back to Professor Arov. Professor Arov, what is your submission as we're closing the show?
Okay, Ali, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who participated.
Professor Arov? I don't know what's wrong that side, Professor Arov. I'm not sure if you're able to hear me, Professor. Professor Arov, are you there? Yeah, I really don't know what might be happening with Professor. Professor, I'm going to try once more. Professor, are you able to hear us? All right. Now it's a time whereby we're going to end the show. I think Professor is having some technical issues. I would like to take this time and thank everyone who managed actually to join. I'm aware that in South Africa we're experiencing load shedding, but I see most of us we managed to join. And our brothers and sisters coming from Kenya, thank you so much also for taking your time to come and join the show. Those are in South Africa, I will say Rialeboha. Thank you so much. Those are in Kenya, I will say Karibu say. Asante se.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for taking your time to come and join the show. Thank you so much. Please always make sure that when you invite you to come and join the show, you make time and come and join the show. We feel very much honored. We see that a lot of people are able to join the show from different platforms, and we see that people from YouTube were able to join. We see that people coming from Facebook were also able to join. We thank you so much, guys, for taking your time and coming and join the show. This is Go Youth Broadcast. It's a non-profit organization. We are not making any profit here. Everything we're doing it from our own pocket. And thank you so much, guys. I see that most of our people are also commenting. I see people coming from Kenya, the likes of Opok Oponto was also commenting. Thank you so much, Opok Oponto. We also see that Christina Sesika was also able to comment. Thank you so much for that. We see that the likes of Maranata Nzuki. Thank you so much for that. And we also see a company called Company Voices joining live from Kenya. Thank you so much, my brothers, and also joining us. Thank you so much for that. We feel very much honored, and we thank you so much for also supporting the page. This is Go Youth Podcast. It's one of the best podcasts ever in Africa. And we thank you so much, guys. I see that the love is growing, man. And I see that people are joining and people are coming live. It's very much interesting when we ask people to come and join us and they participate. What emotion, what a show. I'm telling you, man, this was one of the best podcasts ever that we ever had here. When you have people coming from Africa, people coming from South Africa, sharing different ideas, and when you find that there's some contradictions, because whatever that might be happening in Kenya is not what is happening in South Africa. Quite interesting. All right. Thank you so much. My name is Ali. I was the chairperson of this debate for tonight. And thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Also, thank you so much to Professor Washiwi also was joining, and the likes of Advocate Abram and Toby Maloba. Thank you so much, my brother, for joining. And not to forget also those who are also joining, man, and bringing up those pop and love coming from Facebook, the likes of Honorable Patavani. Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. And I see that we also had the likes of Glenn Boy Tyler. Thank you so much, my brother, for sharing the love. Now, thank you so much, guys. Please, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome to comment or also to share your comment on whatsoever platform that you'll be using. This is Go Youth Podcast, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.